I'm not much of a Swiftie. I'm not hating any Swifties out there. I'm not hating. I'm just saying I'm not a Swiftie. I don't know the music. She had one album I liked, though. Let's get started with what's trending. And speaking of Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce will have 125 nationally aired TV ads, which is more than double any player in the league. Natalie, this is baffling because you would expect this title to go to a quarterback of the most nationally aired TV ads, but to be double any other player in the league, this is the power of Taylor Swift.
That's what it has to be. And I was actually looking on Twitter X about this and just kind of the reactions about everything. And people were just saying that's the Swiftie effect right there. I think, so what is this? This is more than double any other player in the league has currently. And then I think, oh gosh, what was the stat? The past 30 days, commercials with him in it have aired over 83,000 times, which is insane. Those numbers speak for itself. So he's getting a lot of FaceTime right now. You have to assume it is because of Taylor Swift, because he had a couple of media or commercial appearances before he was dating her. But since he's been with her, it has just taken off. He's even been on stage with her at some of her concerts. I'm not a huge Swiftie either, George, but I do follow the headlines. And you just have to assume that that's what it is. But I mean, good for him. Might as well use the cred. Why not?
Yeah, it's three-time Super Bowl champion, one of the best tight ends, the best in the league. You could say arguably right now. I mean, he's on his back nine, but peak of his powers, the best tight end, especially receiving tight end in the league. And he's big enough as is. I mean, like, we don't got to avoid it. We all know it. I mean, he's a good-looking guy as well. But when you pair him up, a player like him, playing with Patrick Mahomes on the best team in the league, one of the best tight ends to ever play the position, one of the best pass catchers in the NFL, but you put him with the biggest star in the world, I mean, this is what ensues. And we know what the madness is that follows Taylor Swift. People tracking her private jet. I was at Gillette last year when the Chiefs were playing the Patriots, and I was literally like, okay, do I want to go watch a 3-win team warm up on the field, or do I want to stake out the parking lot and wait for Taylor Swift to roll up? Yes, I did the latter on that. Literally stood outside in a New England winter for an hour just to get the 3-second video I put on TikTok and Instagram of Taylor Swift walking out of her private truck that dropped her off into the private entrance of Gillette Stadium. But guess what? I wasn't the only one out there. Mass ensued, fans and fans and fans. It's what it does. It brings in non-football fans into the NFL, and credit to the Swifties. I mean, they embrace it. They're all about, let me learn football. Let me learn the NFL. Let me learn about the Chiefs. The NFL is going to love this. And for Travis Kelce, who was already a Hall of Famer anyway, like was going into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. After this, I mean, he's going into just the Celebrity Hall of Fame and his stardom. And what will propel him, if this continues, like one day people will just know Travis Kelce as the on-air or the TV or whatever personality, or Taylor Swift's husband, let's say. People will forget Travis Kelce was a tight end. Like, this is the path it's going on.
You're right about that. And that's a good point, too. It's making non-football fans tune in. Because, I mean, even during the Super Bowl, what did you have, like Blake Lively in the box with Taylor Swift and all that? So now you've got these, like, big entertainment names being brought into the sport of football. And we didn't even really know that they were tied to begin with. But now, this relationship, this partnership, you have to admit it's great for business on both ends of the spectrum, because there you had Taylor Swift bringing in people like you, George, trying to capture her walking into stadiums. But then on the other end of things, now you've got the Swifties on her tour who get to see him performing on stage and whatnot. So it's honestly kind of a fun like relationship to follow, just because of how supportive they are of one another. But also it's kind of cool to see how it is increasing the value of both of them as well. Now, I think Travis Kelce, I think I only saw him on like Subway commercials or something like that before this relationship. But now he's got 127 TV ads. And that's insane. That's got to be the most of any player ever, right?
I mean, I would assume so. I can't imagine any player that's across this many ads. And you're right. Like when he was doing the Subway commercials, that was because Patrick Mahomes probably did him the solid of, hey, I'll be in a commercial. Give my guy Travis Kelce some scratch. He'll be in it too as well. But now it's just he's becoming his own person, his own guy, his own name now for himself when it comes to the NFL and advertising there. I mean, hey, good for him, man. Good for him. I mean, he just shot his shot, as he said it on his podcast, and like that's getting numbers too. It just shows the star power. Like we think these pro athletes are world-renowned celebrities, but no, it's the performers. It's these artists. It's like the Taylor Swifts, the Drakes, really. You go there, I think that's where it stops. Maybe there's some like rock star out there I don't know of. Let's go Dua Lipa, Bad Bunny, like, right? Like, they're the people that are in like a just tier one world-renowned celebrity. And pro athletes, especially like NFL players, because it's an American sport. Like, soccer is a different story, but for NFL players, they're like tier 5 compared to some of these singers and stars. So, hey, man, good for him. He's making the most of it. Sticking with the NFL, Jerry Jones. I've been one of the people to question him being a GM and how he runs the Cowboys. This comes on the heels of him signing CeeDee Lamb to a 4-year, $136 million contract where he gave him $100 million guaranteed. And the snippet is, there's nobody that can effing come in here and do all the contracts and be a GM better than I can. Here's a full quote. Jerry Jones, and I quote, "I've done it all, so I have an inordinate amount of confidence that if anybody can figure out how to get this stuff done, I can figure out how to get it done." And when I'm saying effing stuff, he's actually cursing. I've been there every which way from Sunday, and I've busted my ass a bunch. And there's nobody living that's out cutting and shooting that can't give you a bunch of times they busted their ass. So hell no, there's nobody that can effing come in here and do all the contracts and be a GM any better than I can. I effing have hundreds of bad days. I'm emotional about it sometimes. Well, running this thing, that's who I want to make the last call. Now when I can't effing think, when I'm old and I can't even do it, but I'm a long way from not being able to do it too. I love this. I love the cursing from Jerry Jones. I love him being honest. He doesn't run the day-to-day. I mean, it's his son, Steven. It's Will McClay, who's their VP of player personnel. And it's like, Jerry, you could say you did a good job. He did a horrible job with CeeDee Lamb in his contract. If he got this done before training camp started, which CD wanted, he would have probably saved himself to only go with like 75, 80 million guaranteed towards CD. But instead, DJ Moore signed his extension, which drove up the price. Amon-Ra, and of course, Justin Jefferson, they'd come in 4 years, $136 million total value, third highest in the NFL. But that $100 million guaranteed, that's second highest. He cost himself money because he waited. He's not good at it. It's Will McClay that runs it behind the scenes, and he comes in, spends a lot of money, but doesn't spend it wisely. It's about doing good business and being timely, and I don't think Jerry does a good job at that.
Well, yeah, and that was kind of the reaction on social media about this too, was some people were like, wow, that happened quickly, but obviously they don't know how long that it took to get to this point with CeeDee Lamb, because it was like, that was one of the looming contracts that was kind of like, hey, this is major, and like, we need to get this done now, otherwise it's going to drive the price up. And now this has driven the price up for other teams as well. And I think it's funny because, I mean, CeeDee Lamb, what is he, 25 years old, born in 99, so am I. But to think about what he's doing, how much money he's making now, good for him. I agree with that. I think it's funny. One of the headlines about this comment with all the F-bombs was Jerry Jones, quote, gives profane justification. And I just think this is hilarious. It's not like he's out there doing anything like political or whatever. He's just dropping F-bombs and he's confident in himself. But like you mentioned, the day-to-day stuff is more his kids. But he said, I have full confidence in my kids, but I'm not going to let them take over unless I get hit by a bus or something. So he's going to stay put where he is. But I mean, you still have to think about the future of the franchise, future of the organization. He owned the team, or he bought the team for $150 million in '89, and now it's, I think Forbes said it's around $9 billion. Yeah. So I mean, you got to think about the way that this has gained value, the way that media and contracts and all that stuff has changed over the past decades and the future decades. So I mean, I like the confidence, but do other people, do they agree with this? We don't know.
He's built it up. They're the biggest brand. They won all the Super Bowls in the 90s, but they haven't been to an NFC championship game since their last Super Bowl win. Yeah. And that's coming up on 20 years. Like, Jerry, you're a good owner. You're a good businessman, but also you suck at being a GM, and that can be admitted. And people don't know that. Like, it's his son, Steven. Again, I'll keep bringing up Will McClay because he's been with the Cowboys for 21 seasons. And you look at how well they've drafted. If Jerry actually was a GM, he would have taken Johnny Manziel over Zach Martin. We know what happened to Johnny Manziel, and Zach Martin was one of the best offensive linemen in the league every year that he played. Brian Wansley, his 16th season as director of player development. These are the guys that make you look good, Jerry. But what Jerry's done with his standard for the Cowboys is they've gone from the standard is Super Bowl wins and NFC championship games to just being good. Like, He's the one that stuck with Jason Garrett too long. He's the one that wanted Mike McCarthy when no one thought Mike McCarthy, and it's proven because it's been the same thing. Mike McCarthy isn't the guy to push him over the top. He's an old man who has a huge ego, and for whatever reason, he wants full control, and he can't get out of his own way. If he did, maybe the Cowboys would be in a better spot, but he just gets in the way and he makes it all about himself.